Welcome to the family with
Mike, don't bring your ass Gelfand.
And Andy Bernard.
that bring ya ass did not work out too well, did it, Mr. Gelfand?
You know, the fact that this was embraced by everybody,
I
like,
know.
oh, it's so clever. I mean, it's pathetic.
It's
you
trying
know?
too hard.
It is.
Yeah, and don't bring your ass. It's like a cicada. It's going to go away, and we're not going to see it for another 16 years.
There you go. Just got what the hell? So Detroit must be sucking at baseball. You're not wearing your hat.
Today I was having trouble. It could be an omen, but I was starting to put on my headphones, and one of the ear pads fell off.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
'cause
so
they
I
spin on,
naturally I
yeah.
panicked, and I just did everything I could to keep make it adhere to the earphones, and then I just sort of lost track of everything else.
So Andy, I have a question for you on that because I know you twist them and they stay on, but why don't you twist them and they lock in?
Yeah, you would think.
You'd think they would
do
lock in, but they don't.
It's like if you bump them just right, they untwist, and then
Yep,
that's that.
Yeah, this one didn't seem to lock. I was hoping that there was some sort of lock thing where I would hear something crunch or snap, but
Nope.
there was nothing.
Nothing at all.
No,
You
it's
got
sad.
nothing. So what's new in the world? Anything other than the fact that people are getting crazier by the minute because now we found out that you can't, the Knights of Columbus can't salute the men and women who gave their lives defending this country. You can't go and honor them on Memorial Day because apparently it's too religious.
What?
Hmm.
Well, who says you can't do that?
Apparently it's written into law. Andy, maybe you could look it up as we're going on here, but apparently it's state law says that you can't have any. I don't know how they worded it. I saw it on the news last night though.
Whose state law?
Minnesota.
I got to check that out.
The one great thing that about 2024 is that you can get any TV station news that you want from anywhere in America now.
Yeah. No.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. So I watch Channel 5 all the time when I'm down here. And yeah, they were talking about the Knights of Columbus for the second year in a row. We're not allowed to appear at National Cemetery to honor the troops who gave their lives because they found it to be too religious.
Well, can you still go to the Knights of Columbus and get drunk after a wedding?
Well, see, that's what I'm wondering because the only Knights of Columbus I remember, and I grew up Catholic,
Yeah.
was guys drinking like fish.
Well, that's my impression of it too. I wasn't sure what they actually do besides that. I'm sure they do a lot of good things, but you're right. That's my reference when I hear it.
Number one on the list.
Yeah.
What do you got, Andy? Anything?
No, I can't find anything about this.
Oh, because it was on the national. It was on the not the national. It was on the local. You know what? I actually think it did make it on the national news too. Check it out. If it made it on the national news and it was about religion not being allowed, it was probably a Fox story.
Probably.
That's what I'm thinking anyway. But I don't know. What the hell do I know? But why it started out with Jews, and as soon as it went after the Jews, you knew they'd be going after the Catholics next because the Catholics are kind of between the Jews and the Protestants.
Mm.
So it was the Jews first. Now it's the Catholics. Where else they got to go, Mike?
Oh, here's what okay, I found it.
Oh, you found it. Okay.
Not related to Minnesota.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
No.
So what does it say?
They are suing for religious discrimination after being stopped from holding Memorial Day Mass at a national cemetery. This was in Petersburg, Virginia.
Petersburg, Virginia. What? See, it didn't say on the news that they were holding a mass.
The officials refused to grant a permit for the mass at the Poplar Grove National Cemetery.
But didn't they do it for like 50 years in a row?
They've been doing it for apparently a very long time.
Oh,
but as of last year, they're not allowed to do it anymore.
Not allowed to do it. Matter of fact, I think somebody pointed out they started doing that in like 1890.
I don't doubt it. I honestly don't know anything about the Knights of Columbus. I don't even know who they are.
Yeah, Knights of Columbus are just, I don't know. I went to Catholic school and I still couldn't tell you what the Knights of Columbus are. I have no idea.
There's a lot of that, little religious branches that no one knows what they actually do.
Yeah,
They're a Catholic fraternal service order.
There you go.
So
There you
what's
have
Yeah,
it.
I've been at a few Knights of Columbus halls
Yes, right.
after weddings, and yeah, that's my association with them.
The KFC.
The
As
KFC.
KFC?
the
Apparently
KFC.
they're just a place for Catholics to fraternize.
But why would I care if you wanted to honor somebody with a Catholic mass or nice Jewish celebration, Protestant? Why would I care about that?
I
don't
don't
know.
know. It doesn't say why they were denied it.
Well, it's
It
a
just says they
national
were.
cemetery, so you have a government association with a particular with any religion, and so yeah, I could see that.
I don't know, but they've done it for 150 years or 135 years. What's the difference?
I have no idea.
Jude
I
is
mean, it
whining
doesn't
at the
bother
door.
me. But
Hold on,
Yeah,
Jude's whining at the door. I got to let
I
him
hear
in.
that. Bad Jude.
that Jude. Hey, Jude.
Judy.
Why do you want to
Now he'll just want to go out, though.
Depends on where mom is.
Yeah.
If she left, then no,
I see. Okay.
he's good. He can't ever be away from any of his owners.
Judith, you have to
Jude.
move. I have to put my legs there. I'm guessing that Catherine was running something down to the car to put it in the
Yeah.
trunk for when we leave in an hour. So he thought she was leaving
Oh,
forever.
that's right. You're leaving like right away, huh?
Yep, right after the show, we're heading out.
Heading out. All right.
Yeah, we're coming back. I'll be in studio next Tuesday. What do you think of that? So next Thursday, a week from today, you got major problems, Galfano.
I guess.
I'm showing up. That's all I know.
Well, that'll
So-
be nice for me, but it'll be nice for
me
you too. I mean, you beat all the questionable weather.
What?
Absolutely ideal now.
Now he has to be. He need pets now too. It's not enough to let him in. I got to pet him
He
too.
needs
Well,
validation.
I was just saying when you were letting him in that it won't be long before you're going to have to let him out.
Mhm.
Oh, no question. No, I left the door open. That was,
There you go.
I was wiser than he was, but I don't know where. Yeah, Catherine must have gone down in the car or whatever. But in any case, so what's in the news? Anything good?
Well, around these parts, it's all about the Timberwolves.
Hmm.
Losing.
Well, losing now, but I mean, you would have thought they won the world championship after they defeated
Right.
Denver, and I'm sitting here and I'm saying that this is like the quarterfinals,
Yeah.
and I have no doubt that after they won that game, Game 7, any number of the players went out and kind of went on some kind of a bender.
Oh, there's a good
Last
call.
night, Anthony Edwards by the third quarter could barely walk. He was so
That's
tight.
what I heard.
Yeah,
That's what I
just,
heard.
I just have to wonder. I mean, how can you be out of shape for something like that? And nobody else seemed to be out of shape, really. Everybody
Yeah.
else, some of the guys seemed to be out of sync. But the other thing is, of course, they're playing Dallas, and if you're going to beat Dallas, you probably have to hold Luka Doncic to maybe 20 points or something like that. If you
Mhm.
can't do it, you probably are going to have trouble winning.
What did he say? Bring your ass here, or what did he say?
Well, he said he was talking to Charles Barkley. And Barkley said that he hadn't been to Minnesota in a long time. And then Anthony Edwards, because he is a quip master. I mean, he's like the equivalent today of maybe someone sitting at the Algonquin Round Table.
Oh God, yes.
Yes. And so he came up with this incredible quip, bring ya ass.
Bring your ass. That's what it
And
was.
everybody started, oh, it's so funny. What? Would it be funny if I said bring ya ass?
Yeah,
I don't think
they wasted
so.
no time putting it up on the Minnesota tourism website. I know that
Oh,
much.
yeah, that's right.
It's
And-
like,
Really?
first thing you see,
Oh, yeah.
it's bring your ass. It's
and even the governor Waltz made reference to it.
like, I know.
He-
Everybody wanted to get in on the bring ya ass ride.
Mhm.
God.
And now,
why?
like I say, it's like the cicada thing. We'll see that one and hear that one in another 16 years.
So why are they so enthralled with that? People have been saying bring your ass for a long time. Oh, bring your ass over
Of
here.
course.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Who cares?
No, I don't know. It
Whatever.
doesn't make you Dorothy Parker. I know that.
Dorothy Parker, speaking of the round table,
Yeah.
the Algonquin round table.
I know it's a dated reference, but On the other hand, it was a dated reference when I first heard about it.
Oh God, yes, because that was what, the 1920s,
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah,
somewhere in there. I don't know for sure,
maybe
but
30s. I don't know, but
yeah,
yeah,
maybe 30s.
but yeah. So I don't know. I don't understand this at all. I guess anything Anthony Edwards says, if he can put three words together, people think it's charming and delightful.
I kind of
Wouldn't
like
it
that
be great to
actually.
be Anthony Edwards?
No,
No, I don't think so either.
no, I don't think I'd care for it to tell you the truth. But
No, because you know, just think of all the women who you have to write checks for every month.
do you
It goes
know
with the territory.
it does go to the territory? You're absolutely right about that. Has it happened? Have the Twins and the Timberwolves both won on the same day yet this year?
I don't know
Hmm.
because the Twins did win yesterday.
The Twins did win yesterday, and of course, Timberwolves did not win yesterday.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell that's all about.
Well, we
but
can never really fully celebrate, but
no, probably
that's
not.
life, isn't it? The minute you
Yep.
start celebrating, you start mourning, I should say.
Pretty much true.
And let's face it, I mean, you get to be of a certain age, and there's that like 10-to-1 wedding. I should say, well, I suppose I should say funeral to wedding ratio.
So it's much higher.
It's
Somebody
about
told me
10-to-1 funerals now.
around the world, including like places like Italy, that nobody's getting married anymore. Did you
Yeah,
hear
I've
about that?
read that. Yeah,
Oh, you did? Okay.
yeah.
So what's that all about? They just don't think that being married is all that important anymore?
Could be, or maybe it's because a lot of people aren't having children anymore.
Yeah,
That's the
that's a big
number one.
part
They're
of it.
not having children anymore. That's
I would
true.
think that would be the number one reason.
And why are they not having children?
They're doing their thing.
It's too expensive.
They're living their best life.
Well, and for one thing, it's like how many people these days can afford to buy a house?
True.
Fewer and fewer all the time,
Yep.
thanks to the hedge funds. Hedge funds are locking up the housing.
They sure are.
Yeah,
Hedge
so
funds are destroying everything they touch.
they pretty much do. Well, that's
radio
what they're here
stations.
for. Yeah,
They're
that
destroying
is
the
their
radio
goal.
business.
That's
Yeah.
their business. Their business model.
Why is destroying something their business model? Just so they can make all the money. Is that it?
Yeah. Mhm.
God.
Well, it's instant gratification. It's the same reason that people take fentanyl
Mm-hmm.
or or any kind of addictive drugs.
Yeah.
It's instant gratification. And if you're rich but you want to be richer, that's how you're going to get that instant gratification. Because what
Yeah, I
else is
guess.
there?
See, I got to be honest with you. If I had that much money, you'd never hear from me again. I would go hide and never come out.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you had that much dough, why would you ever leave the house?
Of course, then again, I don't leave my house anyway. So.
That's true. That's a very good point. I didn't know. Andy, did you know the Gelfin was loaded?
Yeah.
I heard you tried to buy Graceland. Was that true?
Well, they turned me down.
Not allowed to. Yep.
Yeah.
Not allowed to buy it. They ruled and said you cannot buy Graceland. That's just how it is.
I think it's prejudice.
You do.
Yeah.
It was a black judge that stated that.
Yep.
So he's racist.
Well, everybody is.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know
Against
how
you
much?
specifically.
I found out this morning how much Elvis Presley paid for that house in 1957.
Was it like $100,000?
$102,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, in 57, that was a lot. The average house in 57 is what, about $3-4 grand?
It was, I think, like 17 or something like that.
Oh,
Well,
was
this
it
is just
17,000?
recently, someone posted like a 1960s facts thing, and yeah, the average house was like $15,000-$16,000. So,
Yeah.
102,000 when?
1957. So how much would that be today? About 150 million?
Oh, it would be 1.2 million though. So it's about 10 times.
Yeah.
About 10 times more.
In
little
1963, my parents bought a lot and built a house, and the total cost was $24,000.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and I looked at a lot basically in the same neighborhood. There was a lot for sale.
God.
It was about 6 months ago I looked, and for this lot, and it was not a big lot. they wanted $250,000.
Yep.
Holy God!
It's a lot.
I
Where
don't doubt it.
Of course, no one bought it.
where was the lot?
The lot was in well, it was in the fancy Lake Forest area of St. Louis
Mm.
Park.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
It is a
It
nice
is a nice area, but
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So what are we going to do about the fact that somebody told me they saw the numbers like 62% of Americans cannot afford to buy a house anymore.
oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that was ever not true. Is the thing.
Oh,
Well,
really?
I think it
home
was.
ownership. I wonder.
Ownership is it's the inflation is much higher for buying houses or building them.
Well, it absolutely is, but I wonder how many people, like, what the highest home ownership rate ever was, because I doubt it was ever that
Well,
high.
after World War II, it was very high.
Let's see, highest. Looks
I mean,
like
they
the
were
highest it
building
ever hit
houses.
was 70, almost 70%.
Yeah,
Oh wait, this only goes back to 1990. That's
yeah.
not
I would
useful.
go back to
Oh,
1952 and
let's
53, 54.
I don't know if they even have data going back that far.
Because that's when all the houses were going up like crazy because
Oh God, yes.
soldiers were coming back from the war and they were
Yep.
getting their GI checks, and they were actually allowing people like like my family and others to live in houses outside North Minneapolis.
They
Yeah,
let Jews move in outside of North Minneapolis?
Well, it's when nobody was looking, I guess.
Oh
There was
yeah.
a big boom right after World War II. It looks like.
Yeah, there was a housing boom.
Yeah, it went from
Absolutely.
45%. By 1960, it had reached almost 65%. But I mean, still, that's, it capped out. It never even reached 70%. So, owning a home is, the majority has been able to own a home for the past 100 years, but it's still a decent amount of people never own a home.
Well, I know.
It's a lot of work and it's a lot of expense.
I know my son Max and his girlfriend, and they both have decent jobs, were looking to buy a house. It was just like a couple of years ago, and they were trying to find something for $350,000.
Oh, good luck.
Good luck. Yep.
Yeah, it's just about impossible.
Well, you can't live in the city or anywhere near a city. That's the thing.
Yeah,
That's the overpopulation in certain areas has made property values. You have to be extremely wealthy just to afford a
yeah,
very modest house.
yeah.
But conversely, you drive an hour in any direction and you can get a mansion for nothing. It's interesting how that works.
Well, it's interesting that people aren't just scooping those things up by the fistful because most people don't want to live in the city anymore.
No one wants to commute, though.
Ah, that's a good point.
They don't want to live
Yeah.
in the city, but they also don't want to commute. They want to live in a suburb that's like 10 minutes away from downtown,
Yeah,
which
Yeah.
is probably the most expensive property right
Yep.
now.
and it does depend on the city, of course.
Yeah.
I just read a story in the New York Times today. In Baltimore, in the last, basically, there's about 1,000 people a year dying from drug overdoses, and I
Mhm.
assume it's mostly fentanyl.
Mhm.
That's a lot. 7,000, 1,000 people a year are ODing in Baltimore. That's a hell of a lot.
Yep.
God, isn't that so sad? Baltimore, I have never. That's one of the very few cities in America I've never been in.
Yeah.
I've driven past it, but I've never been in Baltimore. But I do remember several people being on the show, and I said, "So what's the really bad area of Baltimore?" And they said,
It's Baltimore.
"Baltimore." That's exactly what they said, Michael.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
west side, east side, doesn't matter. It's a
remember the
shithole.
old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore?
Oh God, yes.
And it was kind of a rickety structure.
Mm-hmm.
And I was covering a Twins game in Baltimore. This would have been the late 70s, and because I was on deadline and nobody else was, I was like the last one to leave the press box,
Mm-hmm.
and I wound up locking myself in the basement of Memorial Stadium.
Because you didn't want to venture outside.
No, it was midnight, and I made the mistake of I hit LL on the elevator. And
Oh,
I thought it would take me to the main floor, but it took me to the basement. And once I went into the basement, I discovered there was no way out of it.
so what happened?
What happened was I called I called the cab company. I needed a cab, and I said, and when the rider gets here, he's going to need to pull the bars off one of the basement windows so I can get out. And that's exactly what he did.
There were no guards to let you out or any
No,
of that.
nobody. Well, it's Baltimore. Even then, no guards,
Jesus.
nothing.
God.
And I thought, I don't really want to spend the next 12 hours in the basement of Memorial Stadium.
But did you look around and go, I wonder if Brooks Robinson ever stood here?
Well, you always kind of wonder that.
Oh, yeah, you do.
I mean, the first game I ever covered on the road was in Baltimore.
oh,
In
really?
Boston, I should say.
Oh, Boston.
And Yaz was his final year. And I thought, this is great. I get to see Yaz because I'd seen Yaz play, for the Millers.
Right. Yes, right.
And so I went in after the game, of course, I went into the some people call it a clubhouse. I've always called it the locker room of the Boston Red Sox. I'm looking around, and there's Yaz. First of all, I thought, what is this like 55-year-old guy doing here? He still had the black stripes under his eyes,
Oh, God.
because you know how guys of that era sometimes did. And he was sitting at a little desk. It looked like the desk that you might have sat at when you were in 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And this desk actually had an inkwell. To tell you how
I
old
was
it
just going to ask you that because I remember having an inkwell on one of my desks at St. Joe's.
Yeah. And that's right. And in the inkwell, he had installed an ashtray. So he was smoking a cigarette,
There you go.
sitting at the 6th grade desk with the ashtray in the inkwell. And I thought, I will never forget this moment. And obviously I never have.
No, why would you, though? I
Yeah,
mean, think
no,
about that.
it was just a great moment.
It's interesting you bring that up because I have noticed in my travels around the area, I see a lot more cigarettes in like the in the little ditch right next to the curb. I have a lot of people taking up smoking again because I just didn't see a lot of cigarettes, and now you see them everywhere.
Really, that's interesting because I didn't think there was any surge of cigarette smoking.
No, I don't think so.
You think it's just happens that in certain areas people just smoke there?
Yeah, smoking itself is at an all-time low.
Oh, I would imagine that's probably true.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's still 10%, which is, higher than you'd think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
it's so interesting because I smoked from the time I was 11 till I was 21.
Yeah.
But I realized that I never inhaled. I thought I was inhaling,
That
but
was
I
the way
never
to go.
inhaled.
Yeah.
Yep, it's true.
I smoked cigarettes in high school for about a month.
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
And then I thought, why am I doing this?
Yeah,
This is stupid.
I smoked once. Well, I inhaled once on one cigarette, and that was plenty for me.
Yeah.
Get the smoke in your lung. Yeah, the smoke never got in my lungs. It
No,
went
wait,
up
I
my
was
nose
wrong.
and up.
The smoking rate was lower before World War One.
Really?
Oh, that's interesting.
It was apparently roughly zero in 1900.
Wonder why.
Well, I'm sure that I would guess, I know that it might have been during World War I and World War II, where there were rations. There were
Yeah,
cigarette
right.
rations.
Ration. Well, the Great Depression is what caused smoking to spike, which is not surprising.
No.
Yeah, you
not
can
at
look
all.
at this graph. There's the Great Depression right there, and immediately after it skyrockets.
Yeah, well, because smoking does go with hopelessness.
And this is very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And back then, smoking was cheap.
Yeah.
You wanted a pack of cigarettes, it's like 5 cents worth of tobacco, if that.
And you had movie stars doing commercials for
Yes,
cigarettes.
yes, you did, and it was healthy.
Wait a second.
It's good for you.
Doctors used to smoke.
Yep,
You'd go into the doctor's office and he'd be smoking.
yep.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Nurses
absolutely
still.
right.
You go outside a hospital, the nurses are all smoking out there.
Oh, God, not the nurses.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Do you remember the Winston, who plugged Winston cigarettes?
I do.
Was it
I don't remember,
was
but
it Dean?
Dean.
James Dean?
He did, yes, he did. He I don't know if it was Winston.
I don't either, but it was probably something more like Camel.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So
Andy, who plugged Winston?
the Fred and Barney Flintstone.
Yeah. Barney Rubble. It was
Bar-
Fred Flintstone.
Yes,
and
I've
Barney
seen
Fred
Rubble.
Flintstone and
those,
Barney
yeah.
Rubble. That's right, on the Flintstones.
Yeah.
Yeah, They had cartoon characters smoking cigarettes. You weren't trying to get the kids to smoke, were
No,
you?
no, not at all.
Jesus. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, the first 2 seasons they were sponsored by Winston.
Really.
Yep.
I wonder why they would, why would they even, well, I suppose they
Well,
wanted people to
because
start smoking.
in the beginning, the Flintstones were intended to be for grown-ups. It was supposed to be like a parody,
Yeah.
a parody of the sitcom.
Right. Well,
Right.
yeah,
It's like you take the sitcom.
honeymooners.
Exactly. It was the honeymooners,
Yeah.
10 million years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
So, the idea was to be absurd and funny to adults, but then kids started watching it because it's like, hey, funny dinosaurs. And they were like, maybe not with the cigarettes.
But they couldn't. The thing was that they couldn't do flavored cigarettes back then,
Mm-mm.
except there was one flavor always that they could manufacture, and it appealed to a certain segment of the population. You know what I'm talking about?
Menthol?
Menthol.
Oh, God, yes.
Well, they said it made the throat hit better or something.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about cigarettes to know either way.
And I don't know how menthol cigarettes became a black thing.
I don't either.
I don't either. Newport and Salem.
Salem, yeah.
Yeah, that's cigarettes. Well, every grocery store in my neighborhood had tons and tons of menthol cigarettes. I'll guarantee you that. They did. There's no question about it. Well, I smoked Lark cigarettes, and again, I thought I was smoking, but I wasn't. But I did Lark cigarettes, and then I moved on to Newports.
Mm.
Newport
And just
was
think,
also.
when you were doing that, my mother was smoking Camels
Oh,
or
God.
Lucky Strikes.
Straight?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Well, it made pregnancy so much easier,
Yeah, I bet it did. I bet.
Oh, yeah.
So what else is happening in the world? Anything good?
Yeah, the weather's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the best it's been, for a long time, except for a few thunderstorms. But it really has been great.
So the whole winter was wonderful.
Yeah, it was, better than you could ever hope for.
They must have found out Tommy was out of town.
There's always a certain ambivalence, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, yeah, hey, there's no winter. And then why is that?
Oh, I suppose, yeah, it's climate change and all that. Were they barking a lot about that, about climate change?
Not really. I mean, just the usual. It's a constant issue. But, you do have some weather things going on now, like Texas is underwater. So that's always something you should worry about. Although mostly if you live in Texas, because what do we care about Texas?
Oh, that's nice.
That is not one of the states I'd love to live in. It's like their own. They have like their own country. You want to cross the state border, and they pull you over as if you were going into Mexico.
San Antonio's nice. I will tell you
And
that.
that's where they do that the most.
In San Antonio?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
It's
that.
interesting, because I actually have a cousin who is a policeman in San Antonio. He's 6'3", 220 pounds.
Ooh.
Now you talk about weird genes that somehow escaped.
Those Punnett squares will get you.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well,
Boy,
who was
that dog is wagging his tail like crazy.
Oh, yeah, he's got Mom by him now.
Oh,
So he's
yeah,
walking the
Mom's
dog.
back,
just
so he's all happy.
Very, very happy dog. Who was your cousin's name, the professional wrestler?
Goldberg.
Goldberg. There you go.
Yeah,
There
he
you
just
go.
went by Goldberg. I don't know why. It's like if he didn't use his first name, people wouldn't know he was Jewish. I don't know.
Goldberg. Let me
Goldberg.
think
Yeah,
about
and
it.
his brother, who I did know briefly at least, his brother was I think he was a kicker for the Gophers.
Oh, really?
But he was also big guy, huge guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've told the story, but maybe not. I'm covering a demonstration at the U, and it's getting a little bit out of hand. There's no big deal, but there are people in the streets. There's a lot of commotion. There's a lot of obscenities flying around, and there's a police line. This is in the West Bank. It's in Stadium Village, and so I'm standing sort of like between the police and the crowd, and so I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I feel a guy like, yanking my shoulder. And I think, oh God. And I look around, there's this huge guy staring down at me, and I think, I'm dead. I'm dead. This guy knows who I am. He hates me. And the guy says, my name is Steve Goldberg. And he shakes my hand. He says, I'm your cousin. I thought, oh, thank God.
Thank God.
Should have
That's how
gone
I
a
met
different
my
way.
cousin.
Well, you brought Goldberg into the studio a couple of times, if I remember correctly.
Well, he came into the studio. He was promoting, his wrestling, some wrestling thing.
Oh, okay.
That's how I met his. I was talking about Steve, but that's how just Goldberg. That's how I met him.
Oh,
And,
you did. Okay.
I thought, God, this is great. We'll chat about Tulsa. We'll get to know each other. And I introduced myself. I said, I'm Mike Gelfand. I'm your cousin. It's great to meet you. I said, I've been to Tulsa. My dad grew up in Tulsa, and he looked at me and all he ever said to me, this is the only words he ever spoke to me, was, "Yeah, it's a shithole, ain't it?"
Well,
He
that'll
was
happen.
right.
I suppose. What are you drinking?
It's water.
No, it's not. I saw it. It said grain belt on it. I saw it. Unbelievable.
Yes, Greenbelt. Oh, that always reminds me of Cannon when people say Greenbelt.
Oh, yeah, Cannon.
When he did the Saturday Night Sports on Channel 5, and his sponsor was Greenbelt.
That was a long time ago, man.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you. I'm actually kind of glad you brought that up, because I was just thinking about this a few days ago. I suppose it's just your childhood and your young years and all the rest of it. But, man, I loved that lineup on WCCO AM back in the days.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
You had
Back
Boone
in
and
the
Erickson.
day, yeah. It's and there were some really very you might not have known it so much, but there were some really clever guys they had working there. And you think of the WCCO at it. Well, of course, it was really at its peak for about 40 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you think of Boone and Erickson, which I think you had to be an elderly Minnesotan to appreciate the humor there.
Maybe.
Yeah, but then Cannon came along and he was hip.
Yep.
That was a little later, and there were other guys there who wound up like there was a guy. What was his name? Bennett. Do you remember Bennett? I can't remember his first name. He wound up being a huge radio star. He was
Yeah.
not a huge star at WCCO, but he wound up being a huge star in San Francisco.
What the hell was his name? I know who you're talking about,
Yeah,
too.
it was Bennett was his last name.
And then where did the guy work who used to talk to himself in like 3 different voices and people thought they were all real caller? What the hell was that guy's name? He was really
I
good.
can't remember, but I had sort of it was almost like a religious canon to listen to him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, my boy Steve.
Well, radio's not the same any longer. No question about
No,
that, particularly, AM radio.
Yeah. Well, it's the hedge funds again. I mean, we always get back
Yep.
to the hedge funds.
The hedge, well, you heard about CCO, the latest with them about a month ago, didn't you?
Yeah, it's owned by some very sagacious people. I heard.
George Soros.
Did seem to overspend for those radio stations.
400 million? You think that's overspending?
Seems like it, doesn't it?
Yes, it
I know
certainly
there's
does.
a lot of radio stations there, but so you kind of, I for what? I just don't know.
I think it was hilarious too, because when I got fired at KQ, Chad Hartman went to the management and said, "Oh God, we got to get Tom, bring him over here, do the morning show. It'll be great. It'll be wonderful." And he just, Chad and I are good friends, so he's plugging me and plugging away, and the owner just went, "Oh, we could never hire him." He didn't say why.
I mean, that does beg the question, doesn't it?
It kind of does, and I don't know why that is, but such is life, right?
I guess they couldn't afford you.
No, I think it has something to do with politics. Everything in Minnesota has something to do with politics.
Well, everything everywhere does.
Well, everywhere now. Everywhere is just
I mean, you're in Florida, so nobody has to tell you about that.
different areas of Florida. Man, they got some different beliefs. It's kind of like that in Minnesota. You got the city and then you got the country. They're completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question about that. So I just, why, maybe you can explain this to me, because we were talking about it on the morning show today as well. I just don't understand the severe judgment of someone who doesn't believe the same things that you do. Why do people insist that you have to believe everything that I believe, otherwise I hate you? What?
I think it's because of civilization.
Civilization
Your
ruined
mistake.
everything?
I think once we stopped hunting and gathering, we started hating people.
But why?
There's too much time on our hands.
And people are instinctively clannish.
They sure are. Well,
Yeah, I
even
suppose.
animals are.
Yeah,
But I just don't. You.
but I know what you're saying because, you know, in I was a little kid in the '50s and living on Cretin Avenue in St. Paul, and religion was not a factor then.
No.
Because basically it was people didn't talk about religion. It's like that was something you just didn't talk about in public, because then you get into arguments and everybody has a right to their own religious beliefs.
Right.
That's not true anymore.
No, it's not. No, not at all. Like I said,
I mean, you've got sort of like it's almost like a Chautauqua show from going from city to city. There are these people who, and they are huge supporters. They hold rallies for one guy running for president, and they've been doing it for years now. And one of the speakers is General Flynn, the guy who got busted for lying about his contact with the Russians.
oh
Well,
yeah.
he's a big star now, and he's saying he was right now. He's probably should be most famous for saying, going around the country and saying, we need to have one country and one religion.
One religion.
One religion,
Why do you want that?
because there's only one religion that's valid.
Don't think of how many fewer books you'd have to print.
That's it.
That's
You'll
true.
just read the same one.
Yeah,
All the paper saved.
yeah.
But I mean, Mike, you have both sides of this issue saying the dumbest, most
Oh, no
horrible things
question.
I've ever heard.
I'm just saying this is at a high level. A guy is saying we can only have one religion. Now, I don't know if he meant Catholicism or just Christianity in general.
But then you got
It
the
was
president of the
one of the
United
two is
States.
what he meant.
You got the president of the United States saying that white people hate you to black people at Morehouse College.
Yes, he does say that.
I mean, what the hell is that? What are you doing? It's on both sides. They're both nuts.
Can't we just get two other guys?
Yeah, can't. How about that?
Can't
How
we
about-
just cancel these guys and start over?
I think it would be easy, but apparently not.
No, apparently not. And you know why you can't do it?
Too old?
Money.
It's all. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. What isn't about money now? Everything's about money.
I was going to say love, but that wouldn't be my experience. So no, I'm
Thank you.
no,
Thank you very
no.
much. No.
But when I was young, and yeah. But what? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think the one thing that money can't buy is poverty.
Well,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
that's true. That's true. You can spend it quickly enough to get there, but that's not the cause of it. There's no question about it. But I just
Yeah.
I just don't understand. Okay, we have three people on this show right now. The three of us grew up in much different ways than the other two. One on one on one. We didn't grow up the same. Andy certainly didn't live the same childhood that I did, and he's my own son. So
Although I did live in North Minneapolis, but that was when I was like a year old.
a year old, yeah. Was it on
really-
Logan next to Mark Rosen?
I was Newton Avenue,
Oh, that's right. You're on Newton.
8th and Newton. Yeah, house is still there too.
Oh, yeah. No question. I used to love that area. It's a little different now.
Yeah, the house actually looks very nice though.
How's downtown Minneapolis doing these days? Is it still a rough house down there?
Depends
Well,
on where you go, but
I think
yeah,
after 1 o'clock in the morning.
yeah,
it
not
is.
great.
Well, I'm
Unfortunately.
not going anywhere after 1 o'clock in the
Well,
morning.
no.
When I lived there, I used to go out and I'd go. I'm probably not after 1 o'clock, but well after sunset, I'd
Yeah.
walk several blocks over to the Monte Carlo or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
if I wanted some wings, I just walk over there at night, walk back, no problem.
Yeah.
Wouldn't do that today.
Mhm.
Does anybody make better wings than Monte Carlo?
They're pretty good.
God, they're good. No doubt. Look at how we segued away from hatred to loving wings.
Do like wings.
Doesn't everybody love wings?
It's
Probably not.
relatively universal, I suppose.
I ate a few of them, I think, about 40 years ago.
Yeah, you're not a big wing eater.
Well,
You know,
remember?
I just, I have my dad's eating mentality.
Yeah.
You know, my dad had a heart valve. Needed a new heart valve when I don't know, I think he was about 75.
It's a normal time to need a new heart valve, I suppose.
So everybody who gets a heart valve gets a quadruple bypass.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Didn't bypass anything in my dad.
No?
No, there was no
Huh.
fat in his arteries. There was nothing.
Wow.
What?
So he literally, he told me once when he was about 90 that he was going to stop driving when he was 100, or that he would think about stopping driving when he was 100. Because there was never any question. He was so healthy. He was going to live, his body was going to live to be 100,
Mm-hmm.
but his mind kind of screwed that up.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up because I just took a cognitive testing yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Because they do that now. If you have the full physical, you get the full physical on everything. They do a mental part of it now too if you go to the right people.
Well, wait a minute. Now, how many words?
How many words?
Yeah, like when they give you the words that you have to memorize.
Yeah,
Usually
5.
Yep.
Is it 5?
It's 5, yeah.
Because that's interesting. Because for the Medicare wellness check,
Mm-hmm.
it's just 3 words.
Too easy.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe I'm just biased because I'm just so good at remembering words, but 3 words, no challenge at all.
It's not much of a challenge, no. But the thing is, if you actually have dementia, or if you're in the early stages, you won't be able to remember the 3 words.
Not 3, and certainly not 5.
The problem with the doctor that I go to was for many years, it's like at least maybe 7 or 8 years, it was always the same 3 words. So they didn't have to give me the words because I remembered them from the previous years.
Well, it's usually a good sign, I'd say. It's arguably a form of cheating, but it's a form of cheating that makes you,
Yeah,
it passes the test in the correct way.
the nurse would say, well, I'm going to give you 3 words, and I'd cut them off, and I'd say, grape desk cloud.
There you go.
And she said, yeah, that's it.
Well,
That is correct.
the finish on the ones yesterday were the last 2 words were velvet and red. So that's kind of cheating anyway, isn't it?
Well,
Too close together.
yeah, but there again, if you've got dementia, you won't make the connection.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that's probably true, and I don't have dementia, but my memory is dropping like a rock. My memory's nowhere near as good as it used to be.
Well,
So-
I find like when my friends have gotten into their 50s, late 50s, early 60s, and they can't remember a name, they're always saying, I think I've got dementia. No, that's not dementia.
That's not dementia. No.
Because names are always going to be tough
Mhm.
when you get to a certain age. And it doesn't.
And for me, that certain age would be like 20.
Yeah.
For people's
Don't
names.
feel too bad about it.
Well, I heard one doctor say that it's totally normal to forget names. What isn't normal is to not remember them later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I suppose that's true. Yeah. I did ask my doctor, Dr. D. His name is Dr. D. Almeida. He's from Brazil, actually. Really good guy. And we're talking about this, that, and the other thing, and we're going over the testing. And, you have to draw the little arrows from one part to another so it has the perfect sequence. You guys sounds like you've done this test.
I've never done it, but I'm familiar with it.
Oh, you're familiar with it anyway.
Mhm.
But we were talking a lot about that situation and what causes this and what causes that. I said, well, I mean, the fact that my memory's not as good as it used to be, should I take Prevagen? And he said, well, you could either take that or M&Ms because they'll do the same thing for your memory.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not a lot of
Yeah.
great evidence.
I remember saying to a cardiologist, what about fish oil? And he'd say, yeah, you can take fish oil if you want your breath to smell bad.
There you go. That's exactly
It's
it.
like, yeah. Then 98% of all that stuff, it's just bogus.
It is. Oh, it absolutely is all just BS, no question about it. Especially like the non-prescription sleep aids.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, melatonin does a pretty good job, doesn't it? I think.
Melatonin works, yeah, for a while at
Yeah.
specific doses.
Well, the thing about melatonin is this is at least what the so-called experts say. It doesn't help you to get asleep, but it may help you to stay asleep.
yeah,
To stay asleep, yeah.
exactly, and that's how it works for me.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem I have with my life is I wake up and I don't know why. I wake up every morning at 3 a.m.
Mhm.
I have no idea why I wake up at 3. Now, is that a possibility? But it can't be because I'm in Eastern time. If it was when I used to wake up to do the KQ morning show,
Mhm.
which was always 4 o'clock in the morning, but here that would be 5 o'clock in the morning. So there's no connection there.
Well, you
You know.
may have some primitive genes, because you're experiencing first and hopefully second sleep.
Hopefully,
If
yeah,
you
you
can't
got.
get back to sleep after 3, that's obviously a pretty big issue.
Yeah, that's why we're in a situation where I do keep certain things by the bedside when I wake up. And by the way, when I wake up, I know immediately if I can get back to sleep or not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Immediately, you know that,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. But yeah, so all these things out there on the shelf, do any of them work at any level, any percentage of
yeah.
work?
Unisom will work for a couple days.
Unisom, okay.
Yeah,
Is that basically?
it's diamond hydrogenate. It's similar-ish to Benadryl.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, antihistamine.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I of course you can't get it without a prescription, but trazodone works for me, but it doesn't work for everybody. I know that. But I find
Why?
it to be a miracle.
But why is that it works on some people but not others? We're all
don't know.
human. I don't get it.
I don't know. It's certainly not a placebo because like I take trazodone. It's about 7 minutes before I fall asleep.
Boom. Wonderful. You know what's really good for putting you to sleep is THC.
Yeah,
But
for some people.
once again, for some people it works, and then for some other people, it gives them horrible nightmares.
Yeah, and I've heard people say that about trazodone.
Oh, is that right? Really?
I think initially it probably really could because people who have insomnia, and they take trazodone for the first time, they're probably going to get some pretty deep REM sleep that they haven't had for a while.
Right.
So, I think that's kind of the way your brain works. And for sure, one thing is they have horrible dreams, but they remember them.
They do because they're so horrible.
No, just because they've had such deep REM that it's really,
Yeah.
it's pretty real. I don't know, but I for everything that's supposed to help you fall asleep, it seems like there are a certain percentage of people are going to say it gives you nightmares.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably true.
I know that's true with pot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely it is. There's no question about it. All right, we got a few minutes left. Any closing words?
Yeah, bring your ass, Tom.
Bring your ass. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
I have to get my ass in the car in a couple of minutes
Yes,
to
you
bring
do.
my ass back
Yeah.
to Minnesota. There's no doubt about it. All right,
Making
boys.
that long road trip.
We're making a long road trip. Got to bring Judy home. No question about it. Got to bring the dog home.
Dude.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys. Well, I'll talk to you, Andy, on Tuesday.
Tuesday,
and then,
yep.
Mike, I'll talk to you a week from today.
I look forward to it.
Thanks a lot, fellas. Have a good day.
Bye.
See you.
Got a picture in my noggin reminds me of this was before. Every time I hear the singing reminds me how you talk.